The Soviet Union did not directly participate in the Falklands War of 1982, but the conflict had important geopolitical implications for Soviet interests, particularly in terms of its Cold War rivalry with the United States and its position within the broader global context. Soviet foreign policy and the Falklands conflict. The Soviet Union, as a superpower locked in a Cold War struggle with the West, was primarily concerned with the balance of power and regional stability during the Falklands War. The war between Argentina and the United Kingdom caught the attention of the Soviets, as it involved a NATO member and had the potential to influence the strategic dynamics in the South Atlantic. However, the Soviet Union did not intervene militarily or offer direct support to either side. Soviet foreign policy during this time was focused on maintaining influence over its sphere of control and limiting Western intervention in areas that were strategically important to the USSR. In this context, the Falklands War was of peripheral interest to the Soviets, especially when compared to their concerns over European and Middle Eastern tensions. However, the Soviet Union's response to the conflict was shaped by its desire to counterbalance Western influence in global affairs. Support for Argentina. The Soviet Union expressed diplomatic support for Argentina's claim to the Falkland Islands, as did many other Latin American nations. The USSR, like most non-Western countries, viewed the war as an extension of the imperialistic actions of the United Kingdom, a NATO ally of the United States. Moscow's support for Argentina aligned with its broader geopolitical strategy of opposing Western powers and asserting solidarity with Latin American countries that were sympathetic to Soviet ideologies. While the Soviet Union did not provide direct military assistance to Argentina, it sought to capitalize on the opportunity to challenge the United Kingdom's position in the South Atlantic. Moscow's support was largely rhetorical and diplomatic, expressed through official statements and the provision of political backing to Argentina in international forums. Soviet surveillance and intelligence gathering. During the Falklands War, the Soviet Union maintained a keen interest in the conflict from a military intelligence perspective. Soviet naval and air forces monitored the actions of the Royal Navy and British military forces in the South Atlantic, gathering valuable information on NATO tactics, military technology, and logistics operations. The Soviets were particularly interested in the performance of Western military equipment and the effectiveness of British naval and air power. Additionally, Soviet surveillance planes and ships in the region were reportedly active in observing the conflict, though there is no indication that the USSR directly intervened or played a significant role in the operational aspects of the war. Soviet reactions to the outcome of the war. The outcome of the Falklands War, with Argentina's defeat and the reaffirmation of British control over the islands, had minimal direct impact on Soviet geopolitical strategy. However, it served as a reminder of the ongoing global influence of Western powers, particularly the United Kingdom and the United States, even in distant regions like the South Atlantic. After the war, the Soviet Union continued to pursue its Cold War objectives, focusing on issues such as the arms race, the conflict in Afghanistan, and its influence in Eastern Europe. The Falklands War was a side issue in the broader context of the Cold War, but it illustrated the ways in which regional conflicts could have larger implications on the global balance of power. Conclusion. The Soviet Union did not play a direct role in the Falklands War, but its position as a global superpower during the Cold War meant that it closely monitored the conflict. The USSR offered diplomatic support to Argentina and used the war as an opportunity to counter Western influence. While the Soviet Union did not intervene militarily, it remained involved in the war's broader geopolitical context, demonstrating how Cold War rivalries influenced the international response to regional conflicts.